What is going on, everybody? This is Seventh Man Podcast, back with another video for you guys. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kevin.
All right, guys, and today we got a good video, or a good podcast in store for you guys. We're going to be talking about our very own Sacramento Kings, and although not everyone's a Sacramento Kings fan, we feel obligated to make this video.
Because we are huge Kings fans.
Huge, and, you know, the season's about 4 games in, so we got some observations, some things to talk about.
Yep.
And we're just going to go down the list of the players on the team, and we're going to kind of give our thoughts on them so far and, you know, their potential and what they can do throughout the season.
And just what they're going to be for the team in the future, too.
Exactly. All right, guys, let's get freaking into this. Okay, so we're going to start off with the point guards, and then we're just going to go shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, centers, and then we can talk about Jaeger if we want to for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's start off with George Hill. Now, go ahead, Kevin. Let me hear what you think about him.
All right, so he was our big signing this offseason. Good player, good starting point guard. He's really our best player on the team right now, which is kind of rough, but, you know.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
think
rough.
he really hasn't played amazing so far this year. He had, I think, one good game against the game we won. Who did we beat?
Dallas?
Yeah, he had a good game against Dallas, who's 0-4. But I don't know. He's been a little bit of a disappointment, but also it's 4 games into the season, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I just think what I've thought since we really signed him is I think he's down the line going to be trade bait, whether that be at the deadline this year or the off season or even deadline next year, because his contract is really team friendly because it basically has a team option in the 3rd year, where it only costs $2 million to cut him. So that he's a good starting point guard. Some borderline playoff team who wants to win games would be willing to probably give up something for him. So I don't know. I just think we'll be at a point where we'll be looking at a tank situation.
Yeah, the Kings won't. The Kings probably won't tank though. Like this, because Jaeger doesn't like that at all.
We did last year.
We didn't like.
Okay, we didn't
try to tank.
We didn't Sixers tank, but he started playing the young guys a ton. I mean that kind of tank, not like a full
exactly.
Like trade every player tank.
Yeah.
I just think realize you're not going to make the playoffs and play for the future.
Exactly.
Tank.
I just wanted to get that out there because there kind of is a difference though. Because
it's not going to be like the Sixers where we put out a bunch of D League players.
Exactly.
We're not going to do that. But I just think that I don't know. If we get an option to trade George Hill for a young asset, I think that's going to make sense because he's not going to be with the team by the time we're good enough.
It was a 3-year deal, like $50-something million.
Yeah,
56.
it's about $17 million a year, but the 3rd year is a team option. Basically, it's like a $2 million guaranteed.
Yeah, I really like George Hill as a player. I think that he's a seasoned point guard. Mm-hmm. He's veteran. He's like 30 years old only.
31.
He's 30. Yeah, and he plays defense and he can shoot well. It's the first 4 games of the season, so you can't really judge you can't judge his performance off of 4 games. So we got an entire season to go, and that's with every single player. So if you hear us talking about like, oh yeah, blah 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 so far, like just remember that this is an entire season that we have to go to.
Yeah.
So I think that George Hill, I think the team just has to mesh in order for George Hill to succeed, and he will be starting. I think he'll be starting the entire season because we gave him the money, unless we trade him, of course.
Yeah.
Let's move on to
De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox, yeah.
De'Aaron Fox, he's played great. He's
a beast. He's a beast.
Yeah, amazing. Like you watch him on the court and his athleticism that you really only see like in a few point guards in the league. Like, I mean, physically he's not really ready. He's our size. He weighs 170 pounds. Like,
he's literally our age.
Yeah.
He's 19.
He's 19. He weighs 170 pounds. He's a small dude. He's only 6'2". I mean, his height's fine, but when you look at his speed and athleticism and jumping up ability, he looks like Russell Westbrook or John Wall out there. He's really fast, really athletic, really explosive, and he is leading the team in points and assists right now.
For the first 4 games.
It's
just only 4 games, but still, that is a really good sign.
Yeah,
really good sign.
Playing great, and
it's the future right there.
I think
he's the future of our team.
I think that's another big reason that we'll want to trade for George Hill either this year or next year. And I'll talk about this later, shooting guard, how we have so many shooting guards, we're going to have to start one of them. But I think that De'Aaron Fox, he's going to need to find a way into the starting lineup.
Exactly. So this is what I think. My personal opinion is I think that George Hill and De'Aaron Fox are going to be starting probably within the next 10-game span. I just really think that they're going to be starting side by side at shooting guard and point guard. Now they're both, I know De'Aaron Fox is like 6'6", probably, or 6'5".
De'Aaron
Maybe,
Fox?
no, he's 6'4". Sorry, he's 6'4".
De'Aaron Fox is like 6'2".
No, he's not. He's 6'4". Fact check me on that one, but I think he's 6'4". I think he's 6'4". I think George Hill is around the same height too. I think he's 6'2", actually, George Hill. But they're going to be starting together, in my opinion. And so far from what I've seen for the first 4 games only, is that they play really well together because George Hill is able to run the offense well, and Fox, they want to play up tempo, and Fox is just so damn fast. Like he was sprinting by Trevor Ariza, and he's one of the best defensive players in the league, in my opinion, and I think stats wise too. So I think that they're gonna be starting together. I think Fox is the future of the franchise, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's one. We got a lot of
young players, and that's really good to be looking for the future because although we may not make the playoffs this year, I think 3 years down the road we will definitely make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we'll be ready by then. Okay, so moving on to our third point guard, someone who I was super excited we drafted.
You were a heck of excited to get him.
Frank Mason III came out of Kansas. He won the, I think, Naismith
He won the
award.
AP Player of the Year.
Yeah, he won a bunch of Player of the Year for college this year.
He went to Kansas for 4 years.
Oh yeah, coming out as a senior, so he's 22 or 23 now.
So I think that's why he dropped in the draft.
Yeah, no,
that's why he dropped.
The reason
his
he dropped
age,
in the draft is
and his height,
and height. So he's 22,
which sucks because he's a great player.
And then he's 6 foot tall, which like honestly, I think that he's underrated, and I still don't think that we're giving enough of a chance. Like, he came out in summer league and preseason, dominated.
He killed it in preseason, even though it's just preseason.
He's dominated in every form of basketball that he ever has played over the last few years. I mean, like, when he was in college, and he's so much better than all these guys that are starting now, why is he not playing on our team? I don't know. That's another reason why I think that George Hill eventually will need to go, because we just need room for these 2 young point guards. Because Frank Mason, like, I think worst case is going to be a very good backup point guard.
I think he can be really good.
Because he's a great shooter, he's a great finisher, he was a great college defender. I don't know if he'd be a great NBA defender just because of the size limitations.
His height will hinder him, yeah.
But I think he could at least be a solid, like, Matthew Dellavedova type of defender.
He's smart, too.
Smart, just really tries hard.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, so
I think that he should be getting playtime, but he's not.
He's only made 1 appearance. I think it was probably in the Suns game.
That's another thing. It's like, I think at the end of the season, when we start, doing our kind of mini tank, when playoffs become unrealistic, which I think will happen around the deadline, which is what happened last year. I don't know. I think that we'll start giving George Hill some rest, or he'll be gone, or something like that, or we'll be able to start George Hill and De'Aaron Fox together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I just think that Frank Mason should eventually earn his way some playing time because he already has earned it. We're not giving it to him.
Yeah, I think he's only gotten 1 appearance so far, and I think it was in the Phoenix game. And I
think it was a blowout.
We were losing by a bunch, and then we came back, but then he sat out. But those are our 3 point guards right there from the roster that we have. Some other player, I mean, I'm sure another player can play point guard, but those are 3 good point guards in my opinion. Like, the backcourt looks good for the Kings. Mm-hmm. It's just getting the middle, and we'll talk about it a little bit. I think the small forward position is the one that's most iffy for the Kings. Yeah. But let's move on to shooting guards, and let's hit on Buddy Hield to start off with. And I'm gonna get your opinion.
Next Steph Curry. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God, Vivek.
That's what if you guys don't know, that's what the owner said one time after we traded for him, and that was one of those things that.
Oh man.
No. Yeah, he said some iffy things about basketball, but we still love him because he saved the Kings.
Yep.
But
anyways.
All right, so Buddy Hield, he's a really good young shooter. He kind of like Frank Mason, old. He's 22 or 23
He stayed at Oklahoma for 4 years,
yeah.
too.
So he came as a senior, but
he did really good.
Someone who could be an elite shooter.
Second-year player. He's only a second-year player.
Yeah, still improving. I mean, he's shown flashes of having a really good driving game, and then sometimes just awful, like almost open layups.
God, yeah,
he's really inconsistent driving to the basket, which is so important for his offensive game because that's what makes Steph Curry such a great offensive player. It's the most underrated part of his game. He's great around the basket.
Yeah.
Just skill-wise. But I don't know. I think Buddy Hield, he could become a really good offensive player. Defense is, I would say blowout.
I don't even want to talk about his defense. His defense isn't that great, and part of the reason why his defense isn't that great, he's only a second-year player.
Yeah.
You got to keep that. The Kings lineup, I think there's like only maybe 2 or 3 returning people from the Kings.
Yeah, that's true.
And everyone's so young, which is good, and it's also kind of, if you're trying to make the playoffs, it's not very good. But Buddy Hield, second-year player, he's got a lot of upside, more upside than downside. He's a hell of a shooter when he wants to be. He hasn't been doing great this season so far. He's been really, really iffy. He's been shooting probably like 3 of 11 every single game, which is not great at all.
It's 4 games though. It's shooting,
4 games.
Shooting's especially fluky.
It's 4 games. So I was listening to Grant and Doug Christie talk today, and Grant Napier is our he does sideline reporting basically the entire game.
Announcer.
He's an announcer for the Kings, yeah. And then Doug Christie was a Kings great legend, like one of the best. So they were on the radio the other day after the Suns game when we lost, and they were talking about Buddy, and they were talking about how they don't think he's going to be starting in the next 3 games, and they're going to push him to the bench. And I was like really intrigued by this because I was thinking the same exact thing because I think that De'Aaron Fox and George Hill are going to be starting, and if you push Buddy to the bench, you need to be able, like, that firepower can still be there, and Buddy's going to want to get back in the starting lineup. He's going to be playing better, in my opinion.
You look at someone like Eric Gordon or Will Williams, he's kind of the same mold of just a great shooter who could catch fire. He's a different player, but I do think that as a 6 man, he makes some sense. Just
it makes sense,
someone
who
could come off the bench and score.
He can be our 6 man, in my opinion.
Yeah, someone who could either get hot and have a great game or just not really do anything.
Yeah, and I think that he can really be the 6 man on the team, and in the West especially, which sucks for the Kings being in the West, but you have to be able to have a really good bench, and if the bench can be so good with him on the bench.
In the West.
Yeah, you have to have a good everything, but man, I think that it would be really good for him to come off the bench, and that's what I have to leave with Buddy.
All right, so moving on, we have Garrett Temple as the second shooting guard. We both love Garrett Temple as a veteran. He's just a great player, like, to have on your team. He's a great leader, great guy. He's, I think, pretty good on offense. He's a good shooter. He can do everything.
Oh, he can shoot. It was against the Suns the other night. He had 23 points, and he shot like 4 or 5 on threes, and it was insane.
Yeah,
but he's not going to shoot like that every night.
Yeah, he's not like an offensive player per se. He's not going to carry your team ever offensively. But where he really has his calling card, defense. He's a great on-ball defender against any guard, even small forwards.
He's averaging 3 steals a game. First 4 games only, but he's averaging 3 steals a game.
Yeah, I mean, he could swipe the ball. He'd guard pretty much anyone.
Man, he's good, man.
I mean,
I love Garrett Temple.
We started him for a while at small forward last year. He's just great,
I think they were kind of testing that out.
That's because we have no.
He's a shooting guard. He's only 6'6". So the thing is that he's such a good defender, so he can play the 2 and the 3. Mm-hmm. I think he excels more at the 2, but the Kings have a problem at the 3 spot.
Yeah.
So that's why they've been sliding him up there, which I'm okay with though because he's such a good defender.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to Malachi Richardson. He was our 22nd pick in the 2016 draft, so last year. He's been on and off so far in his career. Obviously, super young. I think he's 20 or 21 out of Syracuse. I mean.
He got injured last season.
Yeah, he was injured for a lot of last year.
Which sucked because he was doing really good.
And he was on the bench for like the first half of the year because we were trying to win games. We were in the playoff race
because we still had DeMarcus at the time.
Yeah, when we had DeMarcus. So I mean, he didn't see the court till the second half of the season, and he showed some promise. So one thing that I don't like about him yet, and I think this can improve, but I mean, every time he gets open at 3-point, he always takes a dribble in to take the longer mid range. That's just because he was a college player. His range hasn't extended to NBA range yet, which is fine.
His confidence
too. But I mean, like if he's ever going to want to be a starter, he can't do that. He just can't.
It's true.
As a shooting guard, you need to be just a really good 3-point shooter in the NBA now, like no doubt. Unless you're an amazing athlete, which he isn't. He's a fine athlete. Yeah. So I just think he's all around a pretty solid prospect.
I think he's a second-year player again and very young. I think the problem with him is that he has 2 people in front of him for the position with Buddy Hield and Garrett Temple, which sucks for Malachi. But Malachi, you just got to show that he can play. When he gets in there, when he gets that playing time, he's got to show that he can play to Dave Yeager, because if he can do that, then man, I think he's
a lot better than Ben McLemore.
Oh God, no, don't even negative on him. But I think that he could get into the rotation sometime this season if he really shows that he can play. I consider him a small forward.
Yeah, so Vince Carter, he's listed on ESPN as a shooting guard. He can play either small forward, shooting guard. He was another signing this year. Honestly, we signed him more as a mentor than as a player.
He was only a 1-year deal.
Yeah, 1 year. He's 40, so I mean, it's not like we signed him to a 4-year deal. But still a good role player. He's someone who he'll give you 15 efficient minutes off the bench every night, or I mean, as many nights as he could play. He's 40, he's super old. But I mean, he's still surprisingly athletic for a 40-year-old because he's Vince Carter, once a superstar. Still good shooter, still can defend. He's so smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't think there's too much to say. I mean, there's obviously no future on the team
No.
unless he becomes an assistant coach or something.
It's a 1-year deal with the Kings. So if we're looking at just with the Kings'
to
perspective,
mentor young players.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he's there.
Exactly. So I'm gonna hit on the next person. It's a small forward, and his name is Justin Jackson, and he was our 15th overall pick in the 2017 draft.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kings traded down. We had the 10 pick, and we traded to get the 15 and the 20, which was an amazing trade by the Kings.
Really good value there.
The Kings did really good in that draft.
I think that, honestly,
players.
I'm pretty sure we did that with the specific, I'm pretty sure we wanted Jackson if we were to make that trade.
Exactly.
He wasn't really worth the 10th pick, the value, draft-wise. He wasn't going to get picked that high, so I think we might as well have done that as long as we had him in point. And always, we need small forwards. There's only two.
We needed a small forward really badly because we had that with Rudy Gay sliding out. We had that opening in the small forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Justin Jackson. He's starting right now at the 3, which I think that Jaeger's kind of just throwing him in there, as just
the
a
thing
substitute.
is, he's another one of the older rookies. He's 21. He was a junior, so he might be 22 actually. He was a junior in college, I think, he came out.
He played
2 or 3 years.
He played 2 years in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Won a championship there. Won a
championship, and I'm sure a lot of people saw him in the championship game. He was good.
He's more of a defender than a scorer, but he can score.
He has some interesting aspects to his offensive game. He actually reminds me a lot of Rudy Gay offensively. Going inside, he has a really good floater game and really good kind of close range jump shooting, similar to Rudy Gay, where it's not really mid range, but he'll get within 6 or 7 feet and pull up for a jump shot. And then also he's working on his 3-point shot. It was pretty good in college. 1 year. I think it's okay so far in the NBA. We'll see. I don't know. I think that he's a pretty good rookie.
I think we just got to see with him.
Yeah, we just got to wait.
Okay. Let's move on to our newest pickup to the team. He just made his debut against Phoenix, and he came off the bench. And that's Bogdan Bogdanovic. And don't get him confused with Bojan Bogdanovic, who's on the Pacers.
There's someone else with a very similar name, too. I think there's one other person. The guy, I forget, whatever. There's a lot of Bogdanovics in the NBA.
But Bogdan was the MVP of the EuroLeague last season.
He was a 23-year-old.
Yeah, and he's from Serbia. And he is a great shooter. And he's a great defender. Mm-hmm. He's got a really long wingspan, and he can shoot the hell out of the ball. And
I think that once he gets adjusted to playing in the NBA over the course of this year, half a year, he's going to be a really good starter.
He's going to be good.
I loved him as a sign. We signed him to the biggest rookie deal in NBA history because he's technically a rookie. It was a 3-year...
Technically rookie, yeah.
But, it was his first year. It was the first time coming to the NBA for him, so it was a 3-year, $36 million deal. So, huge deal. Coming in for a rookie.
I liked the deal, though.
Yeah, and that was to get him to come
I was happy to get him, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think that, I think all the potential's there for him to get adjusted and be a really good NBA player.
Yeah,
23 is a good age for us, too.
I think he's going to be starting.
We're looking for players to be good in 2 or 3 years or 4 years.
Yeah, Jaeger's a really good coach, and he basically he was injured for, he's had a bruise, so he didn't play the first 3 games, but... Jaeger was really smart about getting him adjusted, during practice, during preseason, during summer league. He was really not hindering, holding back because he wanted to just it's such a big adjustment from the EuroLeague to the NBA. It's so much of a quicker pace.
Yeah.
So, I think that Bogdan is going to be starting at the small forward at some point during the season.
Me too. Okay, so moving on to Zach Randolph. Mm-hmm. We signed him to be a mentor mostly and to get arrested in LA during the off season. But I don't know. I think most of that's getting resolved, so I'm not too worried about that. That's just some classic Kings stuff. He's 36, still a good player. He's
gonna turn 37, I think, anytime soon.
Yeah, going to turn 37. 2-year deal.
Yeah,
honestly, I don't think there's too much to say here. I just think he kind of signed as a mentor kind of guy to just fill some minutes.
So I think I like the pickup because Zach Randolph, known around the league as one of the really tough. His nickname is the Junkyard Dog.
Yeah.
Because he is just a beast and he will pound the ball into the post. Mm-hmm. And I've really always liked him. And Jaeger coached him in Memphis. And Carter in Memphis. So he knows Zach Randolph like the back of his hand, which is a good thing. And they have that connection. Zach Randolph's not an easy person to coach because he has a mouth on him too. So I like the pickup. He's starting right now at power forward, and he looked a little rusty, which is, I think, not a shock. It's not shocking. I like Randolph. I don't think he's gonna be starting though. That's another thing. I don't think you don't.
I don't want him to be starting.
I kind of don't want him to be starting either. But he's got a name on him though, and he's only 36. I mean, I think
it's early in the year too. All right, so moving on to our second power forward, someone who I really like for his potential.
Yes,
Scalabiciere.
Yes,
he was our 28th pick last year, coming out of Kentucky. So when he got recruited to Kentucky, he was the number one recruit.
He was a number one prospect
going into that year, and we actually got two of those players in a row. Yeah, so we really like those power forwards who were previously injured.
Our recruiting has been A1.
Yeah,
lately.
Yeah, but we drafted him out of Kentucky. He sucked at Kentucky. He was a major kind of college bust, but he still decided to come out of the draft.
Wasn't he injured though? Is that why?
He kind of was, but even when he played, he just wasn't what they expected him to be. And he wasn't what anyone expected him to be in college. But we drafted him anyway. He didn't play all the first half of the season, and then he came in the second half of the season, and he just started dominating.
God, I love Scal.
He played really great. He's a really good shooter for especially a 6'11" power forward. Was he 6'10"?
He's 6'10", yeah.
Yeah.
But, oh, man, he's
got a great pull-up
shot.
mid-range, and then he's working on three-point range.
Working on
I'm sure he'll have that by the time
I'm not worried about that right now.
Yeah.
But he showed so many signs in the second half of the season of just great talent.
Yeah.
Because he would sprint in there and get these offensive rebounds, and we'd be at the game.
Like Kevin Garnett.
We would be at the game, and we'd be like, holy shit, like, who is that guy flying in there? And we're like, that's Scalabiciere. Woo! So we were like, yes, the future is bright with him.
Yeah.
He's from Haiti. He didn't grow up with a lot in life, and he is so humble to be in the position he is raised. He's a great, great kid. I call him a kid only because he's 20. But, man, he is... Oh, man, he's the future of the team. He is, once again, the future of the team. It was a great
all the upside in the world there.
All the upside. I don't see maybe a little bit of downside with, like, what? Maybe, like... The three-pointer. Maybe that's it.
I mean, the thing is, you never know how a guy's going to progress. Like, obviously, he still plays like a 20-year-old.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see. But I think that there's definitely a great possibility that he turns into a really good NBA player.
He's fast. He runs the floor. He plays defense. He can shoot. What else can you ask for from a 20-year-old player?
Especially a power forward, 6'10".
Exactly.
All right, so moving on to our third power forward, Harry Giles. He's not going to play in the first half of the season. They're just basically rehabbing and getting stronger because he's exactly like Scalabiciere, number one prospect coming to Kentucky.
Last season, he's 19.
So he tore his entire knee in high school, his junior year in high school, and then he retore it, I think, his senior year.
He retore it, I think it was either the
So I know, he's done both ACLs and one of them twice.
Oh, yeah.
So his knees,
that's right.
His knees are jacked up, but I mean, that's not, like, obviously, that is why we were able to draft him at the 20th pick, because when you look at his talent and just amazing athleticism.
Go look at his highlights. Go on YouTube and look at Harry Giles high school and because he only played 5 games at Kentucky.
Yeah,
I think his freshman year.
He didn't play great at Kentucky just because, I don't know, he's coming back from obviously a bunch of crazy knee injuries, and you kind of take it light, kind of like Derrick Rose did when he first came back.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a guy who could very easily be a bust, and we'll just never even see him do anything in the NBA court, or he could just be an absolute steal of a pick and then turn into a star. Mm-hmm. If he could manage to stay healthy, he's who can I compare him to? I've heard Kevin Garnett. I mean, I don't know if that's...
I don't think I can compare anybody.
Kevin Garnett was my favorite player.
I can't compare.
So I feel like that's a huge comparison. I mean, I kind of see a little bit of Blake Griffin in him.
I'm not
He's taller, but...
Yeah, personally, I'm not going to compare him to anybody because I haven't seen him play an NBA game.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying from college
so
and stuff.
The Kings are going to be sitting him out. They said at least till January, which is just... It's very smart to do.
I'm smart. They said they're just strengthening his legs, which is good. I just want whatever they could do to try and keep him healthy.
Uh-huh.
So we can at least see what we have.
He's got that potential. He's number one prospect potential right there.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to center.
Let's talk about him first. Let's talk about
Papa
Gotis.
Yeah, all right. So he's the third center.
The GOAT.
Yeah, we call him Papa Gotis, Papa G. So when we first drafted him at the 13th pick, we were both like, who is this guy? We were kind of pissed because it was just we still had DeMarcus. We had never heard of this guy. No one had ever heard of this guy. And he didn't play all the first half, and it's just like, what are we doing? And then he started playing the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And I think he showed some potential because he's like 7'1" or 7'2", and he's massive. He looks like a white Shaq out there. He is a huge dude. He has some pretty good athleticism for someone so big. And I just think that
he can shoot, yeah.
he could shoot already. He developed a mid-range jumper in the this offseason, basically, just kind of out of nowhere, it seemed like. Like, I know there was like a video of him coming out of before the draft where he was like shooting some threes, but
yeah,
he's shooting in NBA game or preseason games now, like mid-range confidently, which I really like. If he could develop that, which is so nice for a center.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
Right, as of now, he's just a potential guy.
This is what I'm gonna say about him. I'm not gonna get too hype about him right now because he's not in the rotation.
Yeah,
he
probably won't play.
He's not in the rotation because he's got two centers in front of him with our starter Willie Cauley-Stein and then one of our first people off the bench, Costa Doofus. We don't like him, but Papa G isn't gonna be playing much. I think he's young. He's got upside. He also has downside too. He's pretty slow. Yeah. He's pretty slow. He's nothing like Scal.
I mean, we'll just see how he's developed skill wise.
Yeah, he'll probably get in second half of the season again, unless an injury happens or something like that. Yeah. That could be an opening for him.
That's true.
But I'm just gonna leave it at that with Papa G.
All right, so let's talk about Willie Cauley-Stein. He's our starter, and I think that he might be the second best player on the team right now. He's 23 or 22.
He's young.
He's in his third year. He's in his third year out of Kentucky.
Third year.
So when we drafted him,
was it the five
early? Yeah, at the 5th pick. Wow, I forgot he was.
Everyone was like, "Oh, that was a terrible pick."
No, I mean,
it was too early.
He was drafted to be an elite defensive player. We haven't seen that. He's been an average defensive player, in my opinion. What's really been surprising is his offense. He can't, when he was getting drafted, everyone's like, he's going to suck on offense and he's going to be a great defender. It's kind of been the opposite. He's been a pretty good offensive player, especially as a young guy.
He's not a bad defensive player. He hasn't lived up to that hype for his defense, though.
Not at all.
I mean, blocking shots at Kentucky.
He's young, too. Hopefully he will. But, I mean, when you look at him, elite rim-running athleticism, he could get up against anyone. His dunk in Kentucky against Florida, it was like a poster on something. It's the best poster I've ever seen in my life.
He had a poster on last season.
Yeah, he gets a bunch of crazy posters in the NBA. So, I mean, he's an elite athlete as a center, like rim running, kind of like DeAndre Jordan. Like, at least offensively. He's developed a really good mid-range game where he could either shoot, or not really good, but he's developing a mid-range game where he's a fairly good mid-range shooter and he could drive to the basket because he's fast.
That's something that I've noticed the first 4 games,
honestly, I think he got it from DeMarcus just because he played behind DeMarcus for a year and a half. And it reminds me of what DeMarcus looked like at this point in his career. Because when we drafted DeMarcus, he couldn't shoot at all. And then he developed his mid-range game. And then he developed his 3-point game. And by his last year with the Kings, he was a perimeter player. He would always catch the ball at the 3-point line for the most part, unless he was in the post. Mm-hmm. But he would catch the ball at the 3-point line and play from there, either shoot or drive.
Yeah.
And he was just amazing at that. And so I think that's where Willie Cauley-Stein really got the idea from.
I think that Cauley-Stein, he's going to start the entire season for us. Yeah. And I'm completely okay with that. I like Cauley-Stein.
I really like him too.
I think he is perfect for an up-tempo offense because he's really fast and he can run the floor well. So if you pair
good pick and roll player.
If you pair Cauley-Stein, Scal, Bogdanovich, and then
Buddy Hield,
or De'Aaron Fox or George Hill even.
That's like a good shooting and fast.
That's a quick pace lineup that can also play slow, that can run the floor very nicely.
I mean, De'Aaron Fox can't shoot, but pretty much everyone else can. I mean, De'Aaron Fox kind of can.
He's gonna work on that though.
Obviously, he's working on it.
So.
All right, I think we have one more player to talk about.
Is it even worth talking about though? Costa Doofus.
Save the worst for last. Costa Doofus. I mean,
where's Ben McLemore?
Okay, honestly,
where's Ben McLemore?
I don't think he's that horrible of a player. I think that he's good enough to be a bench player on a team, but oh god, he's really awful hands where he just drops easy passes under the hoop for open layups so often, and it's so frustrating. He's just really awkward. He was supposed to be good at defense when we signed him, but he's not been good at defense at all. Just because he's kind of old and slow. How old is he? Like 33?
We signed him to a 3-year deal, right?
Yeah.
Is this his last season with us? Yeah, I think so.
This year or next year?
It's this year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might trade him. He's always been a trade
Oh
rumors.
my, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He's just a guy like
Nothing.
He's just a guy with no future on the team. Honestly, he's just here playing
true.
minutes.
I don't think anything has pissed me off more than doing his hook shot that he always does and just
So bad.
bricking it so bad. It just sometimes not even hitting rim.
It takes like 35 a game.
Oh my god, it's been so frustrating.
Yeah.
That's the roster for the Kings.
that's it.
Okay, so one last thing I want to hit on really quick is our coach, Dave Yeager.
Dave Yeager.
Okay. I don't know if like people pay attention to people really don't pay attention to coaches that much, and especially if it's not your team, if it's
Especially
not a team
if it's not a
for.
playoff team too.
Exactly.
A team like the Kings.
Yeager, I consider him one of the top 5 coaches in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's
And
a
that's
really good
not
coach.
biased against the Kings at
Okay,
all. I
like,
think he's a great coach.
I definitely can see your point, but I think it's so hard to rate coaches. I mean, like,
well, when you know enough about basketball, like
Yeah.
us, like we do, then I feel like we know. I mean, not
yeah,
everyone's gonna know.
I do know, but like, because obviously there's not really any underlying stats. The thing that impressed me most about Yeager, I mean, he coached really well for us last year too. But his last year, when he got fired for some reason, I don't know why the Grizzlies fired him, but the Grizzlies fired him when they made the playoffs. I think as an 8 seed, and they played 35 players that year. There was 35 players on that roster because there was so many injuries. Every star got played, or every star oh my god, every star player of theirs got injured. That team was just a wreck, and Dave Yeager still got them to the playoffs. He almost won Coach of the Year that year. I don't know why, and then they fired him for some reason. It was really weird. He was a really good coach for us last year. The one issue I have with him is he's not really super willing to play the young players as much as I would like.
Because he wants
He
to
still
win.
does. He wants to win.
He wants to
more than
win. He
anything.
doesn't want to tank at all.
Yeah.
That's not his philosophy as a coach.
Yeah.
So he's gonna play the veterans on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very smart coach with
Very
the
smart
stuff
coach.
that he with everything he's been given from the Kings and the shit that DeMarcus gave us
yeah.
and all that stuff. Like, he has done a great job, and I give to Dave Yeager because he deserves it. And I wouldn't pick. I mean, with an exception of a few coaches in the league, I wouldn't pick another coach to coach
Me
the
neither.
Kings.
I mean, obviously, I'd pick Greg Popovich. But
yeah, maybe.
Other than that, I agree. He's a great coach, and I hope he sticks around for a long time, which he probably won't.
Yeah.
Because we'll get the front office will get antsy and just fire him like we did to Mike Malone.
Yeah.
Which we're still angry about. Oh my god, I was so mad when we fired Mike
Yeah.
Malone. But that's a different topic.
Yeah, so that is the podcast today for you guys. That's
Kings roster breakdown.
wrapped it up. And go like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments below.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw this to Kevin.
Later.